Welcome back, friends. So today I'm doing something a little different. It's definitely new for me as well, but I am recording myself on YouTube over here on the side while I am doing everything on the recording here for the podcast on all the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're not subscribed to this channel already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel on the podcast section. And if you're not subscribed to my channel on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell. The bell will tell you anytime I have a new episode that drops. I had a few of my listeners reach out and say they'd like to watch the show, which was interesting for me because for the first time I sat back and was really like, oh yeah, it's a show. So some people are on the go and some people are lounging with their coffee or lounging with a glass of wine when they like to tune in each week. So here we are. Welcome to my space. I'm going to visually say it out loud for the listeners, and obviously you guys can see where I am here on YouTube. But I'm in my living room in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And today I really wanted to talk about what is self-care. And self-care is something that we hear constantly. It has become somewhat of a generic term, which I am victim of as well, but it's frustrated me at the same time because I don't like it to be a generic term. I feel like self-care is so important in our daily lives, and I think when people say, oh, well, that's just because pandemic's happening right now, Stas, and you have time to take care of yourself and do fun little things. I don't agree with that. I think that you should always be finding time for self-care. And self-care kind of breaks down in two different sides. You're gonna see for the first time today, I do write down all of my notes for the episode. So I kind of have a general outline. Sometimes I have certain quotes that I want to take note of, so I have them and can actually relay them properly. But I wanted to make sure that I had my notes here, so you will see those. Before we really dive in, I'm going to open my La Croix water, my favorite. Today we're drinking tangerine, which the tangerine I think is so much better than the orange. And I love all the citrus stuff. We've talked about that. I like the pamplemousse, which is a grapefruit, and I love the tangerine. If they don't have any of those, I'll survive on a lime, but I do really love my La Croix waters. And that is a self-care thing for me. This is me putting water in my body every day. I talked about La Croix a lot on the episode Just Add Water, which was way back before we were even in the teens. And I wanted to touch base on the fact that I constantly drink water because that's part of my self-care process. So there we are, my little plug for La Croix water. Maybe one day they'll just send it to me for free. Or they'll just sponsor the show. I think the latter sounds better than the former. But anyway, so I wanted to touch base on self-care as opposed to self-care that you want and then the self-care that you need. And I think when we do self-care that we need, that's the question where we really sit in with our thoughts, and it's, who am I deep down? Which is a really scary thing to talk about. I think for anyone, no matter how secure you are in yourself, no matter how secure you are in your life, in your relationship, in your job, in who you are as a human being, we all have to constantly keep asking ourselves and checking in, who are we deep down? And am I acknowledging that? Am I being my true self? Am I allowing that to be shown around others, around my family? I know that we all cloud that a lot around family. And it's a combination of treats and needs for me, personally, self-care. And I was chatting with my girlfriend. I brought her up so much lately. So again, if you haven't listened to this episode, you should listen to Teresa Walker's episode, and it is called Levitating Above the Bullshit. It's incredible. I really love that episode, and I've been working with her one-on-one and in group sessions, and we've been chatting about this in our group classes, focusing on the paradox process, which she's currently working towards getting her certification for. So she will be a qualified instructor for that. I guess it's like a form of therapy, but it's very quick. It's in your head. You go in 1 minute, you talk to yourself about certain things, and you basically clear out negative thought and bring in positive thought, and then leave the entire session feeling like a weight is lifted off your shoulders, like you're happy-go-lucky. It's a beautiful process, paradox process, as life is, right? As my yoga process is a practice. So I would like for you to check out that episode or check her out on Instagram. And what she said the other day was really, it really marinated in my head as I left the session that day, and I had journaled about it quite a bit. And what she said was, I feel as if people say it so generically, just love yourself. Just like be grateful. I am 100% victim of that. I know I've literally said that to you guys on here. I know I've said it, and I want to retract that because we need to be more specific. And it isn't easy to just be grateful. I think we need to be more specific about that. What are we grateful about? What are things in our lives that we need to focus on and realize that there are so many people around that don't even have those? So that's the grateful side of things. And when I go through these processes of figuring out what self-care is, I do that and I'm grateful for my self-care. But again, for me, it's this combination of treats and needs. And I really think that a lot of us have forgotten what the needs of self-care are. And I think what this whole pandemic has done has helped people understand, again, once more, what those needs are. So for me, today, I'm sure you hear this a little bit, but in the background, I have on YouTube, and I always put on some type of trickling water, some type of ocean background, some type of waterfall in the middle of anywhere. You know, I just like to have that. That's like a beautiful ambiance, and it's a nice calming effect. It also drowns out a little bit of the sound. Like I said, I'm in downtown Lancaster now, and unfortunately, the sound is a little bit heavier. So recording these episodes on Sunday isn't too bad because Sundays are kind of a dead day in this city. I am in Mennonite town. I'm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so not everything is like really, really happening on Sundays or Mondays, but for sake of not hearing the outside noise, I wanted the calming noise of the water in the background. So if you do hear that, that's exactly what you're hearing. It is ocean water. It's pebbles on a beach with like a blue, beautiful lagoon. And going into the needs, let's go to that. So going into my needs versus my treats with self-care. Because she said that about being grateful and like just take care of yourself, it seems so generic. So I'm going to give you that breakdown of the details. And my needs personally are eating healthy, exercising, getting plenty of sleep, practicing my yoga and some type of meditation to check in with myself to make sure I know who I am deep down, what I want to relay to the world each day, journaling, setting a reachable goal for myself. I set so many. Sometimes you have to set the large goals, of course, do the plans, the 5-year plans, the year plans, the monthly plans, absolutely. But I also think it's super, super important for you to set reachable goals as well. Whether that's as simple as today I'm going to make sure I do that workout. Today I'm going to call so-and-so. Today I'm going to not focus so much on me and be happy that I live in Lancaster right now with my family and just engulf myself in their presence today. All that's like very reachable, obtainable goals. And for me, I like to keep my space tidy and I have to obtain some type of order. So you can see my background now. I like to keep things fairly tidy. Do I vacuum every other day? No. When Miko, you'll probably see her walking around at different times here throughout the recording, but when Miko sheds a lot during the wintertime, do I vacuum every other day? Absolutely, because it drives me crazy. And I love to fluff my pillows, and I love to knife the pillows, which is like a little karate chop. It's a interior design term. And I like to make my bed every morning, and things get a little chaotic for me. My energy level gets chaotic. So obtaining a tidy space for me really, truly is a need for me regarding self-care. And I also like to have some type of order by creating a daily schedule. When we found out pandemic was going to be pretty consistent and we knew that it wasn't really going anywhere and we knew that jobs were going to be scarce this year, I started this podcast, and I have 2 episodes every week on top of all the other things that I'm doing. And I'm always doing something, whether it's bringing an income or not, but I do create a daily schedule. And when I came back home, I went out with one of my girlfriends, and she's like, well, you don't have a job. Not to be negative, but she said, you don't have a job, so like, what do you do all day? And I said, oh my God, I do so much. And I don't really allow myself to watch TV or anything like that. Now, I got into that path for a couple weeks there in the middle of pandemic. I guess it wasn't the middle now. It was probably the 2nd month. But I don't know, for me, I just don't feel like I'm doing anything productive with my time if I'm just sitting in front of the TV. But please, have an off day. That's also self-care. So let's move into the treats. So my treats for self-care are getting together with friends, my evening glass or glasses of wine, oysters and bubbles. I could live on oysters and bubbles. I love a good self-care day where you go out and get any type of sparkling, or if you're actually getting champagne from the Champagne region, sure, and some lovely oysters. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's such a big self-care treat that I really enjoy. And going to the salon, like if you're gonna go get your hair done or you wanna go get your nails done, but let's say you can't get your nails done because it's pandemic. Well, you can do at-home facial masks, a little at-home pedicure. You can book a massage or do a massage with your partner. They'll do it for you, trust me. What Doug and I did was we did little coupons. So he gave me, he called it Doug's rub and tug service, which comes off as the wrong thing, but that it was more or less like, come and I'll give you a massage and then I'll sign off on it. And if you would like to reuse this coupon, then you have to give me a free day where you leave me alone all day until the night. Which is, it's hard for me, especially when we were the only 2 really communicating with each other. That was the only person I saw for so long that a phone call didn't cut it or a FaceTime didn't cut it with a friend. So that was that. That's like the self-care in that regard. But he would give me a massage and then I would sign off and be like, okay, I'm not going to talk to you all day today. And then we would like come together that night and like have a really sweet little dinner, not in front of the TV, and just kind of sit and chat and drink our bottle of wine. We shared the bottle. And then what else? I would say taking a break and going on vacation, not pandemic-like, or even with pandemic, if you have a car, or if you can get away, or if you have a train nearby you and you have a friend that you can go visit safely, you know, definitely follow all the protocols and really be safe in what you feel is good for you. But I do really think taking a break, whatever that is, from set schedule is a treat from self-care. And I guess the occasional dessert, right? For me personally, I don't need sweets all the time. I used to. I don't know what happened. My whole entire palate changed, and I figured 2 glasses of red wine is enough sugar, or white wine is enough sugar. So the occasional treat for sure is a treat of self-care, because you're saying, I love my body enough that I'm going to give it a treat, and I want to enjoy this. And then another thing would be like a bath with candles. I did that a couple times during pandemic just to take a moment. So I would do my yoga class and then I would really get relaxed and everything, and I would get myself into the tub and just kind of melt away and let the stress melt away and my pores open up and soak in whatever bath salts I had put in the tub, or do a mask while I'm sitting there. And I always play meditation music. I love listening to music in general. I hate awkward silence. That is the reason that my senior superlative was most talkative. When things are awkward and silent, like it drives me nuts. And especially when I'm only here by myself, I'm literally talking to my dog. So it's nice to have some type of meditation music in the background. And again, like the water sounds that I have in the background and stuff too. So I just think anything self-care is like cozy related for me, whether you want to like feel cozy or you want to wear cozy clothes, or I just think you have to ask yourself these questions in order to understand what self-care is for you, because my self-care probably won't be the same as your self-care. And I just ask myself, what is going to make me happy? Like, what makes me happy and what actions make me feel good. And that's like a beautiful start. Does it make you happy when you are completely alone and away from your kids and your spouse? Does it make you completely happy when you're with people because you're living alone right now and you need human contact? And then how does that make you feel good? Like, how does that recharge you, and understanding what that act does in order to recharge you so you do feel like you got that act of self-care. So comfy or cozy clothes, you can wind down with a book or the warm bubble bath, or relaxing maybe is a form of self-care by taking a disco nap. Yes, I said disco nap. You can call them a cat nap, whatever. I guess I'm stuck in the 70s. And having a glass of wine on the couch, whether that's you watching your nightly guilty pleasure TV show, or sitting down with that glass of wine reading a book, or catching up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend over FaceTime, any friend or family member. Keeping meditative music on, like I was saying as well. You know, these are just examples of self-care. They really are, and yours probably looks completely different than mine, but we all have them. And I think self-care 100% makes you feel better. Just like, it makes you feel better because it's an emotional exercise to take care of yourself. And a lot of us aren't used to that. We're so used to taking care of everybody else. It's like, we're going around in circles constantly, people pleasing, constantly being there for others. And I talked about that in the Power of No episode, that I had to learn to be a little bit more disagreeable, and I had to learn to focus on myself and not sacrifice my own personal sanity for others, even family. Family is really, really hard, right? I got in the car yesterday. We were going to a family event, and I'm not going to call him out, but I am going to say what happened. My brother was a little frustrated because he had forgotten that the event was going on, and he just felt like, he was like, I finally moved out of the house. I have my own space, and I feel like I can't breathe. So on the one end, I thought in my head, absolutely, preach, like, say what you need, be honest and open about that. 2, don't be reactionary in the process of delivering that, so then that way people respect what you're saying. But also understand that family's family, and unfortunately what the biggest frustration was is that he forgot that the event was happening. And since he forgot that the event was happening, he was frustrated because he was having a good time and he was hanging out with his friends, and that got cut short because he had to come and do this family event. But at the end of the day, we had such a beautiful time with our family, and we were celebrating our uncle's 60th birthday, and we were all hanging out with cousins that I personally haven't seen for 2 years, because I usually see them once a year at Christmas, and last year we got stuck on the planes at the airport forever with Doug because we couldn't get back to his family, so we spent 3 days literally on planes. It was not fun. But we were together. We were together with our immediate family, like just us as partners, and our fur baby, basically our child, and grateful that she was on my lap for the plane and we were able to have her with us. But at the same point, being together was what we did. And you have to realize, like, we don't see family that much. And I think there's this time in our lives where things shift. And for me, I did my exploring, and my dad and my mom did too. They lived in California for about 4 or 5 years, up till they were like I don't remember how old they were. I think they were like 27, 28. And my brother's only turning 26, and he just truly just needs some space. Like, he needs to spread his wings and feel like an adult. Like, I'm paying my bills, I'm doing my thing. Like, I need to breathe. I don't want to see you guys. I don't want to hear from you every day. And it's not negative. It's totally valid. I'm actually going to have him on the show. So if you think that sounds interesting, I'm going to have him on the show, and I think we're going to call it Adult Children Can't Live with Their Adult Parents, and just kind of talk about how you create boundaries, how you still stay respectful, how you still are loving and caring and a good son or a good daughter, or whatever you identify as, and good parent too on their end. Like, how do you not smother your children when they're still living at home? How do you not feel like they're still 13 years old or 16 years old. And I deal with that with my family sometimes too. Like I have to remind them, hey, whoa. Like I am not a 16-year-old brat anymore. And not that I was a brat, just, I mean, I was going through hormonal changes. We've all been there. But who I was at 16 isn't who I am at 32. So again, I just think like finding these little acts of self-love and self-care. So what I want for everyone to do that is listening and tuning in today, I want you to take out your journal or a notepad or a Post-it, something that you can refer to. And I would love for you to write in there 3 acts of self-love that you do for yourself and 3 acts of self-love that you should do to treat yourself. And I would love for you to DM me and share those with me. I will be putting partially this post on if you want to add it in the comments, but I want to know those 3 things. The 3 things that you already do for self-care, and then the 3 things that you would like to treat yourself with that would be self-care. So I hope some of my things that I do were helpful to you. I think finding the time to lounge and be cozy, or to not wear your makeup, or to put your leg up and just relax in front of an audience, or whatever it is, just finding those little acts of self-love and self-care and really forcing yourself to, I don't want to say forcing because that sounds abrupt and it's supposed to be good for your soul, but really allowing yourself to take those moments alone. And I hit this moment at the end of Shavasana, at the end of the practice in yoga when you're laying there. It's called corpse pose. It's your final Shavasana. And I sit there and I kind of just really relax. And sometimes I have my dog crated up when I do my yoga practice because she didn't ever get rid of the urge when we got her fixed. So she loves to hump my legs while I'm doing yoga. And I mean, it's literally in every single video I ever post is her humping my legs during yoga. So there's that. And if I don't crate her up. And today I did a 90-minute yoga practice this morning, which was so much needed. And I needed it for self-care 1,000%. And I had her in the other room and I had the doors closed, and the whole time she was scratching on the door, and I was sitting there in the final well, she wasn't scratching, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with the doors, Mom and Dad, in case you're listening to this, but she just was whining in there. And I was thinking, when I was laying there in final Shavasana, or when I was noticing the sounds, I was just thinking in my head, like, that is the world and the hate and the negative energy and the this and the that, like, that is that all consumed in her annoyance to me during something that I need to do for myself, for self-love. So I felt like I was able to be there and do what I wanted to do and be in my self-care moment and my self-love moment and ignore the outside world, if that makes sense. And it's just like a fun little play on words. It's just a fun little thing that you can think about. But there's a lot of times, I think, I have some friends that are my age that are so blessed to have children already, and that just wasn't my path. And I want children, but I haven't had any yet. And I think that they say to me often, like, I can't take your yoga class because I have my kids. And I so badly wish that if that's something that they wanted, like if they really wanted to take this yoga class with me, or if they really needed the treat for self-care of this yoga class, or they actually wanted to take it, anything, if they needed a moment of self-care, I really would hope that they could tell their partners, in all honesty, I need an hour. I really need an hour right now to take a bubble bath. I really need an hour right now without the kids. And I hope that their partner would respect that, take the kids and say, absolutely, like, you have your moment, you have your self-care moment. If self-care for you is sleeping in an extra hour, tell your spouse, don't wake me up. Like, I need this extra hour for self-care. So do your project, do your homework. I want to know. Please slide into my DMs on Instagram. I am at rumor_in_St. Petersburg. And I always say this, but yep, just like the Universal film Ahnastasia, if you guys have ever seen that, that's the whole reason why that's my name. It's Have You Heard There's a Rumor in St. Petersburg? It was the very first musical number of the movie. And then this is just like a little background. That's why my name's Ahnastasia. I was named after the Romanov Duchess. And then, or you can find us on our Facebook page. It's called The Luxury of Self-Care, all one word. I'll have this all in the show notes. I'll have this all in the YouTube notes. And if you're ever curious about taking any yoga classes with me, you can find all my information on my Linktree account, which also will be in the show notes. But do that homework and reach out to me via DM or comment to me on iMessage on Facebook. And I'd love to hear, again, your 3 things that you do for self-care on the regular, and then the 3 things that you want to do for self-care to treat yourself. Have a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy the weather. I feel like the sun finally came out this week for my East Coast, North region, whatever you want to call this, New York-ish area. And yeah, just take each moment, take each day. It's Sunday. Relax. I really hope you find something of self-care for yourself on a Sunday or a Monday or whatever your off days are. And all the love to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in.